How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to share two books I read recently and, my thoughts and ideas about these two books. So this topic is about, enterprise management. Previously, I made a video talking about what managers should know. Unluckily, not many, people watching the video. I would say that video was quite helpful. If you check that video, you can definitely learn a lot of new stuff, especially for managers, because, nowadays managers kind of monsters are quite common, and I believe this is something that everyone should know. Okay, so what are the two books I read recently? So both books are written in Chinese. The first is this book. So in Chinese, it is called 薪酬, which is salary and management. And vertically, they're like, in translation, it means like if you cannot distribute your money well, your company can easily fail. Okay, so this is the first book. And second book, luckily, there are some English on it, which is Government Thorough Self-Management, Design and Automatic Enterprise Management System. So for this book, it's more like from the perspective for a boss, like how to distribute money, how to motivate your employees, etc. So there are 4 chapters in this book, and for this book is even on a higher level on top of the first book. So it is more about the enterprise management and how to drive the business for the enterprise automatically. So in this video, I want to share, all the contents in these 2 books because that's too complex. So I just want to mention one point in each book and relate to our common life and also working experience. So when talking about the first book, there's one story in my mind that happened a long time ago, which is the story between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. So, both are the genius. They're both genius, greatest inventors, maybe if you don't say the world, but at least in the 20th century, there's no doubt. So Tesla was not born in the United States. So one time he traveled to the United States with his, suitcase, nothing much. He joined Thomas Edison's lab. And one day, Thomas Edison gave him a very hard task, which is almost unachievable, and told Tesla, like, if you can finish it, I will give you $50,000. So $50,000, even nowadays, is quite a lot of money. So Tesla was quite motivated about it because $50,000, that is the amount that he has never ever heard of. So that task is, to improve the DC motors for Thomas Edison, and without everyone's realization that Tesla made it. He invented it out, improved the DC motor. And when Tesla came to Thomas Edison for this $50,000, Thomas said that, well, yeah, man, you just don't know the American joke. And that just pissed off Tesla. And Tesla leaves Thomas Edison lab, and guess what? That's the beginning for the electricity war between DC and AC current. So Tesla has invented the AC electricity, and Thomas is still insists to his DC electricity. And after quite a few years, everybody realized that the AC current is much better, and nowadays all around the world is using AC instead of DC to transmit those kind of current. So what can we learn from this story? Actually, that story is a very iconic topic in this book. So here's a very common phenomenon in our work. For example, the boss promised the employee that whenever he makes $100 for the company, he can get $1. So that's 1% promotion. So when a employee makes $100,000 per year, the boss can easily give 1,000 promotion as the bonus to the employee. However, the problem is if the employee makes $1 billion or even $100 billion for the company, the boss will not give this employee $1 billion. So here is the human nature, right? So when there's not many money, like the boss can keep his or her own promise. But once after the employee reaches the certain amount that the boss can never imagine, the boss will break his or her promise. It's very simple, such as human nature. The boss just don't want to give up so much money, right? It's kind of like a right thing, a natural thing that employees make money for the boss. But when the employees make a lot of money, the boss thinks it's unnecessary to give so much promotion to the employees. So this leads to a very important role for the boss. So let me ask you, what is the role for the boss? So different people will have different ideas, and there are more than one answers. A very common answer for the role for of the boss is the boss can bring a lot of people here, okay, to hire a lot of talented people all around the world and work for him or her. So that's one role. But that's kind of like a general idea, right? Why people will work for you, why you can bring a lot of people around you. So maybe you have some super charm, like Elon Musk. A lot of people really admire him, so they will work for him. That's of course one perspective. But what's the true thing behind the boss that can gather people around him? Which is he knows how to distribute money, how to compensate his or her employees. So actually there are a lot of details under this topic. So if you're interested, feel free to watch my previous video talking about what managers should know. So those are like more detailed procedures on what I feel like during my past working experience. Okay, so this is about the first book. Just one story and one topic. And the second point and topic which I would like to mention in this video is about the second book, which is how to move your enterprise automatically. So a lot of people don't know what does the automatic mean, which means even though you don't come to your office, if you don't monitor employees, your company will still function very well. Of course, this is a very ideal case, right? Like normally, in most of the situations, it won't happen, but it does happen sometimes. If you know how to design this kind of rules. So a lot of bosses are highlighting the importance of execution. If you can execute well, your company will run well. That's just the first level boss. The second level, or the smarter boss, like what mentioned in this book, is instead of the execution, what drives the execution, which is the system, the rules. A very great example here is the Qing dynasty, right? Like a lot of clay. So before the Qing dynasty rules the whole entire China, Qing was just a very small country. So there were 6 more countries, and Qing is in the middle of the China at the time, and it's very weak. So what changes everything? Everything is a man called Shangyang. He come up and gave a lot of laws and changed the whole entire stuff. And Qing, just in a very short few years, it just conquered all other countries. So there are a lot of aspects of about the laws, but just one thing, which is in the army. So usually as a human nature, right, people just don't want to go to war, because if they go to war, they can die easily. So no one wants to go up front, right? That's such a human nature. But for Qing dynasty, it changes the rule, which is if you kill one person, you can just raise one grade, and the more you kill, which is the more level you will get raised, and the max is 20th grade, and that is a very high level grade, and you can enjoy for the rest of your life if you're that kind of high level. So this leads to a significant change in the Qing's army. So the soldiers, right, when they go to the war, they see the enemy, they're not seeing any of death, they have no fear at all. What they see is money. They want to kill the enemy and to get promoted and get a lot of money. So that's why the Qing's army are so aggressive. They just don't care about the death anymore. They want to get promoted, because in the old days, right, like the slaves, they have no chance to get promoted or even get the freedom, right? So a lot of other countries, they just send the slaves But when they fight, they just care about their lives, right? Because no matter I kill how many enemies, I'm still slave. But for Qing dynasty, it's different. So people are so aggressive. So that's why a big reason why they can conquer other countries. So what we can learn from this story is how important the rule is. No matter how aggressive, how powerful a general is, if he doesn't have a good rule, even though he has very great soldiers, they still cannot fight. But like you know nothing about army, you know nothing about wars, but you just tell your soldier, okay, as long as you kill how many people, you can get what kind of gifts and promotion. And your soldiers just fight like like just like immortals. I mean like that, something like that. And this leads to how important the rules and laws is on top of discussion from enterprise level. So in our work, managers, what managers doing, most of the time they just listen to their subordinates work, right? Like you report me how's your progress, what I've done, any blockers, etc. So that's the traditional way, I believe, in almost 99.99% of the companies in the world, right? Very common stuff. But how can we make it automatically, right? Because if the boss does not come to the companies, or if they're sick, taking out leaves, etc., their employees can, be lazy easily. Sometimes when the boss, went abroad and, the employees that just do nothing in the office but playing their cell phones. So monitoring is definitely not a sustainable way. And another example is like, in China, a lot of companies, they encourage the employees to work overtime, right? So they was, okay, just work overtime. I will give you like extra compensation if you work overtime. Like I will offer you dinner. I can give you the free ride to go home after, the work, etc. So this is actually very like in software engineering, like message queue, right? There is a pulling based and push based. So here is push based. It's like from top to down, like people are pushing you, okay? Work harder, please work harder, please, please, please. And monitoring you, report to me, etc. So this is push based. And this is not automatic at all. And this is how this book is talking about. So how to make people excited, how to make them motivated. Same as Qing Dynasty, okay? If you work, I don't care how much effort you put in, okay? I don't care how fierce or how strong you are on the battle. As long as you bring the hats for, the enemy people, as how many you bring, you will get promoted. And if we simulate this idea in our work, which basically means I don't care how much effort you put in it, okay? I don't care like you put 12 hours or 20 hours in the work per day. I don't care. I just care about the result. So for example, if you're bringing how many new users to our app, you can get how much money. And if you can make our system flawless, like there is no bug reported, no alerts, you will get how much money, etc. So if we keep the employees pushed in this way, you don't need to monitor them anymore because they know, okay, I need to work harder, right? I need to be responsible for my own bonus. I need to make it work. I need to do it harder. Like the more people, for example, the more users I introduced in, the more bonus I can get. I mean, everyone will just work so hard. They don't need to report to their employer. They just need to show them the result. That's it. Even though this seems like a very easy and intuitive thing or mindset, but I would say most of the organizations, they just can't do it. They just can't motivate their employees. That's it. It's a little bit sad. Sometimes the relationship between the boss and employees is more like police and the thief. I mean, from this book, it's more like the boss, their job is to distribute the money well. And in this book, it's talking about the ESCOs, the boss, like how to motivate the employees. So they're quite similar. Like if you want to motivate your employee, you definitely need to give them a good compensation. good and fair compensation, right? Sadly, like in this society, most of the companies, they just can't do it. Whether to trust employees, how to make your employees work harder, and make your company larger, right? Even though maybe your share percentage will be lower, will be diluted, right? But that's fine. As long as your company's the gross market cap is like rising, I think that's good. So, you know, a lot of bosses that are quite selfish, they just can't see in the long run. They would rather like to keep 100% of the company share, but to keep the company cap at $1 million instead of like just diluted his shares, bring more talents inside, diluted his share to 10% and make his company a $1 trillion company. Some people just can't get this step. Their sight is just so short. You cannot see in the future. Yeah, I think it's pretty much about these two books. I will highly encourage you to read these two books if you understand Chinese, and second, if you're interested in management, especially from CEO, from chairman perspective, like how to make your system automatic. Yeah, it's pretty much about these two books. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.